Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody, to another exciting edition of the Silver Surge Sports Enthusiast Pop Culture Channel. I am once again, as I always am, your host, Silver Surge. And today I'm going to be diving into the pop culture discussion aspect of things, and we're going to be covering the newest entries of the Pokemon universe. We're going to be talking about Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. Those came out last week, last Friday, I believe. I think it's almost been a week now since they've been out. So I'm just going to give my thoughts and opinions on the games and how they go. Right now, I have to say there's a lot of hate going on with these new versions, and it's for small ticky-tack reasons mostly. There's a lot of visual representation that fans feel was recycled from previous generations like Gen 7 and Gen 6 from the handheld versions. And there's a lot more to be desired, and they think, and by they, I mean the Pokemon community, that there was a lot of letdown with this version, and they believe that there wasn't as much attention to detail and much care put into these games. And that's because Game Freak, the developers of Pokemon, they were working on another title at the same time called Town, I think. And you're basically supposed to be like a hero fighting off these enemies that are supposed to be invading your town or something like that. But so the visual mechanics are a little recycled, I guess. And then the big thing that bothers people right now is the fact that not every single Pokemon is in the game. I think there's over like 1,000 or so entries now, with the newest ones from the Galar region, Gen 8. And we only have 400 in total. So quite a substantial amount of Pokemon were cut from this game. A lot of fan favorites, actually. Every single starter from Gen 1 through 7 was cut, except for the Charizard line, because I guess he plays a significant part in the story. All of the legendaries, for the most part, were cut. I think Mewtwo's in the game, but Lugia was cut. Ho-Oh was cut. All the birds, the legendary dogs were cut. Groudon and Kyogre from the Hoenn region were cut. Dialga, Palkia from Diamond and Pearl. Even Arceus, the god of Pokemon, was cut. So there was a lot of slashes that didn't set well with fans. And I would have to agree with that point, because there was a lot of Pokemon that were my personal favorites that were cut, and it was kind of upsetting. A lot of the pseudo-legendaries were cut, too. Like Dragonite was cut. Garchomp was cut. Salamence, who's actually my favorite Pokemon, was cut. Absol was cut, another favorite. There was just a lot of missing important Pokemon that were taken out of this game, and that's kind of the outcry from fans, and it caused a lot of stir in people to want to cancel pre-orders or not want to give the game a chance, and I get that, but to me, I'm a staunch Pokemon supporter. I've been playing since the original days of Red and Blue, and I've played, Yellow and all that stuff. So I wasn't about to give up on this game just because it didn't have my favorite Pokemon. I mean, it's a new title. It's something new to explore. And honestly, I think it's underrated. I really did enjoy this game. For as much crap as it's getting, it's really not that bad. Obviously, there's issues with it. There's things that could have been better. I think the storyline, in my opinion, is a little bland. There wasn't enough character development. With my playthrough, I think there could have been a little bit more to the story. The generation starters, I think, were really underwhelming and kind of disappointing. Sobble, Grookey, and Scorbunny, I wasn't really impressed with their original reveal. Like, I was like, these don't look that great, but I was kind of holding out hope for their third evolution line, and they kind of disappointed. Personally, I think Grookey's evolution line was the best. Spoiler alert, he turns into a giant grass-covered ape called Rillaboom, and I think his looked really, really cool, actually. I just didn't care for the drum. That's part of his animation sprite. I think the drum would be better served in a move set or an attack, but not as part of his actual animation display sprite. That I didn't like, but that's a small nitpick. Other than that, Rillaboom is pretty solid in my opinion. The worst of the bunch is Sobble, the water, and it's an opinionated piece because I'm sure people will disagree with me, but I think it's the absolute worst. To me, Sobble doesn't even look that attractive as it is, and then it evolves into this giant chameleon humanoid water spy thing called Inteleon. And I really hate its movements because it literally acts like a humanoid spy. Like it uses its hands like a gun thing, like a spy thing, and it's just really hokey and it's stupid in my opinion, and it's way too thin and it just doesn't look good at all. So I don't think I'll ever pick up uh, Sobble at all. It's just a huge letdown in my opinion, and there was so much they could have done with it. I honestly thought when I first revealed it that Sobble was going to be that what the F surprise starter that ended up being the best of the bunch. Um, excuse me, kind of like Gen 6 when Froakie was revealed and he looked like a stupid little blue tree frog with bubbles on his back, and he ended up being this badass ninja Pokemon, Greninja, which is now like the most popular Pokemon from the Gen 6 starters, and it ended up being so popular they even put it in Super Smash Brothers for two titles. So I thought that's what Sobbles was going to end up being, was that, come from behind a badass, but he ended up just getting progressively worse. And yeah, so that's pretty much the end of that. Score Bunnies isn't too bad. To me, I have always picked the Fire Starter with my first playthrough, except for 2 generations. Um, in Gen 5 and 6, I didn't pick the Fire Starter because Tay-Pig is a firefighting pig, and that's literally all it is. To me, it's just retarded. It's just a firefighting pig. So I hated that. So I chose the water type Oshawott, and a samurai otter. Samurai. I thought that was kind of cool. And then Gen 6, I had so much hype for Fennekin, a Firefox, and then again it turned into this humanoid fire witch thing that was fire psychic, and I really, really didn't care for that. So I just went with Froakie because I knew it turned into Greninja. And ended up being the coolest of the bunch. So, so yeah, Inteleon was a big letdown, but Score Bunnies wasn't too bad. I don't think Cinderace, the final form, it's like a giant fire rabbit that looks like a soccer player because it's English influences. There's so much British influence in this game, which is really cool. Actually, I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, Cinderace wasn't really that spectacular, but it also wasn't that disappointing. I think it was more of the middle of the road. And I didn't mind using it through my playthrough for Sword, and it's not the worst fire starter I've ever seen. Obviously, you know which one I don't like. So yeah, I was okay with Cinderace, but oh man, Sobble was definitely a letdown. But Score Bunny could have been a little better, and then I think the only one they got 100% right was Grookey's, minus the drum for Rillaboom. I just hate that stupid drum, but. So yeah, that's my kind of little rant opinion on the starters, but yeah, that's pretty much the most part of the game. Is from a negative nitpicky standpoint, is the starters are kind of underwhelming. The storyline isn't that really flourishing and great, and the character development kind of stinks, and then there's a lack of Pokemon. But everything else is really cool. Getting back to the aesthetics and backdrop, I really like that this game focuses on British culture, and the English backdrop and accents of the game is supposed to take place in an England type setting. So I really like the culture and the architecture that are in each town and the buildings. There's even a clock tower in one of the main cities that looks kind of like Big Ben from England. So that's really cool. And I love the music tracks. Everything really is cool as far as the scenery and the background. I really enjoyed the gym leaders. In fact, I love the 4th gym. It's a fairy gym, and it's located in the middle of this wooded forest that's got like neon fungus that lights up the whole foresty town. It's really cool, and I really appreciated that. That was my favorite part of the story, or journey, I should say. And yeah, so that's pretty much all there is as far as the the small stuff. For the bigger things, there's a couple of new mechanics. There's one thing that's really big I gotta mention. It's called max rating, and then Gigantamaxing and Dynamaxing. And when I first saw that revealed, I thought that was going to be incredibly stupid. The reason being is I used to play Pokemon Go addictedly for the last 3 years, and I'm finally starting to cool off on it. I'm really getting kind of just bored of it. But I thought they were trying to make the console game based more on rating from Pokemon Go, so I was like, this is stupid. But I gave it a shot. It's actually not as bad as I thought, and it's kind of fun, actually. So basically what Maxing and Dynamaxing is, if you don't already know already, it's turning your Pokemon into giant versions of themselves for 3 turns and having like really, really strong moves. Dynamaxing is the Pokemon getting big for 3 turns. Gigantamaxing is the same situation, except they alter their form. So it's kind of like a Mega Evolution plus Dynamaxing, because they're a completely alternate form of themselves. So that's what that is. Yeah, so those are located all over this one section called the Wild Area, and that's like a free roam open area that you can just kind of completely roam for hours, and it's really cool actually. It's supposed to be kind of like a smaller scale version of like the Breath of the Wild map from Legend of Zelda, but not the whole game, just that one area. So um, there's more that could have been added as far as the free range open area. I think they got it right with that section, but it should have been like the entire map. That would have been fun, like a free open completely. You don't have to follow a route. You just kind of go wherever the hell you want. That would have been fun. It might have probably been a little bit disorganized if they had done it that way, but I didn't mind, like I said, that area. There's a lot of Pokemon. There's tons of different Pokemon that pop up, common to rare spawns. It's really cool. So I liked the wild area, and like I said, the gym's really cool. The after gym portion, I can't really speak yet because it's a big spoiler. So I'll be quiet on that. But that was fun too, and overall, like I said, the game is really not as bad as people are making it out to be. I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10 personally, as a hardcore Pokemon fanatic. I built a pretty promising team. I was happy with mine. I breezed through the gyms when I got my team right. Granted, I kind of cheated a little bit and looked up what the gyms were and who was going to be post game, and so I kind of prepped myself of what I was going to need before. Um, but I still, like I said, I breezed through the game with my team. Um, and I had fun though, and it took me about a week. So my only suggestion is if you're going to pick up a copy of the game, give it some time. Don't play for hours every day because you're going to finish it in like 4 or 5 days otherwise. Um, Spread it out. Like play a gym or two a day, maybe catch a couple Pokemon, and then come back to it in a couple days. Because that way you'll get maybe like 2-3 weeks out of it if you can manage that. Um, but yeah, no. Overall, it's a solid title, and I'm happy with it. Hopefully, they can build on it. I mean, what I would really be happy with is if they add more DLC and give you the option to get more packages of Pokemon, maybe at some point, or or add some kind of function that allows you more access to Pokemon. I don't know, but so basically, my last thoughts on the game are the exclusive legendaries, and that's Zacian from Pokemon Sword and Zamazenta from Pokemon Shield. I basically boiling it down to it, will say that they're just ancient wolf warriors. That's the best way to describe these two legendary Pokemon. They're really kind of cool. I think that they could have been used more in the story, but I do like the concept. They're cool. They're basically the same Pokemon, other than the fact that this one has a shield and this one has a gigantic shield plate. But otherwise, they look pretty similar for the most part. I personally prefer Zacian from Pokemon Sword. I don't know. The sword might be kind of tacky, but I don't know. I just think that the design overall is more smooth and flowing to me, and I really like that. But I'm glad I got both copies. I originally just had gotten Sword, um, and then I ended up liking it so much halfway through the game, I said screw it, I'm gonna go get Shield too. So I went and got Shield. So now I have a playthrough for this to do because I just finished this. I have to actually still catch Zashi, and I haven't even caught it yet. So that'll be the last thing I do, and then I'm gonna probably move towards Shield and then start a new game. But no, these are really good titles. I highly recommend them. If you're, like I said, a hardcore Pokemon, you will appreciate these games, despite their flaws. They're worth it. They're fun. Like I said, they're a quick playthrough if you spend too much time with it. So just take your time. And really, like I said, just don't go in with it. Don't go into it with extremely high expectations because then you probably will get disappointed. But the game is fun. It's worth it. It's got that nice flowing feel of a Pokemon title, and it's cool to have what used to be handheld exclusive concept now on the Switch. I just hope in the next generations they do add a couple more things as far as the visual displays and the roaming and wide open area mechanic, and even the max raid battles. I don't mind as much. I won't be upset if they don't come back. They were cool, but I would like to see them kind of go back to like Mega Evolutions because those to me were more fun. I liked those because the Dynamaxing and Max Raid battles and Gigantamaxing, you can only use them in Max Raid or specific Pokemon battles. So it's not like you can use them whenever the hell you want, like you could with Z moves from Gen 7 or the Mega Evolutions from Gen 6 and 5. So, well, I don't think those are even 5 yet, but anyway, so that's pretty much concludes my review on Pokemon Sword and Shield. If you haven't done so already, like I said, go pick yourself up a not coffee, I could use some coffee. Inform your own opinion, and if you want, even let me know in the comments below what you thought of it, if you hated it, if you liked it, who your favorite Pokemon was, who you picked as your starter. Any kind of feedback, I wouldn't mind either, so, whatever you want to do. Otherwise, just be sure to hit that like and subscribe button at the very bottom of the screen, and continue to watch me for more content in the future. So, that concludes this video for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys have a good rest of your evening. God bless. Silver out.